Brooking and John Watson.
Thanks very much, Desmond. Good afternoon, everybody. I think the first mistake we've made today as commentators is not bringing the sheepskin coats, because although it looks a nice day on your screen, it's a bitter wind inside Wembley, as referee Philip Don, who will be in the World Cup in the United States in the summer, as indeed will one of his linesmen there, Roy Pearson, leads the teams out. I suppose there is a temptation to make it seem like the FA Cup final, but it never can be, of course. That day remains special. Although I endorse what Desmond said about the reasons for playing here, fans deserve to see their team in a semi-final, and in spite of all the money that's been spent on football grounds since the adoption of the Taylor Report, we haven't succeeded in building one or developing one that holds more than 45,000 people. That really is why we're here. Manchester United in red, Oldham in blue. Something of a contradiction in terms, I suppose, that it's a local derby between two Lancashire clubs being played in London. But they normally produce goals, these games. There's been a 6-3 and a 5-2 and a 3-all in recent years between them, and Alex Ferguson's comment to me earlier in the week was, one thing is certain, there will be goals. Now let's check on the Manchester United team. They're without those three suspended players, Cantona, Kanchelskis and Keane. So, as Alan was saying, there are places for Brian McClair and Dion Dublin and, of course, Lee Sharp. Dublin starts an FA Cup tie for United for the first time, and with Paul Parker back at number 2, it looks more like the normal back four, Trevor Brooking.
Well, it does. I think Paul Parker's got an important job to do today, because Rick Holden does supply a terrific range of service, supply of crosses, so Parker will have to mark Holden tight. Sharp with foot on the right-hand side. Giggs and him could swap over as the 90 minutes unfold.
Now, Oldham have their own absentees. Sean McCarthy, as you said, is cup-tied. Steve Redmond suspended. The two Norwegians, among others, with long-term injuries. But the good news for them today is that number 4, Nick Henry, has shaken off a hamstring injury, and number 11, Paul Bernard, has made it back double quick from a cartilage operation only a month ago. So it looks, from that then, like another 4-4-2.
It does. It's a bit of a gamble. Of course, Paul Bernard and Chris Bacon playing at right back could have his hands full with Giggs. He found him a difficult opponent on Easter Monday. But certainly I'm pleased to see Beckford up alongside Sharp, because I thought for the first half hour in the game at Old Trafford he was a bit too isolated.
Yes, he was. Talking of Graham Sharp, he's something of a lucky omen as far as Oldham are concerned. 4 FA Cup semi-finals with Everton, and he won them all. He's also scored 15 goals in his career against Manchester United, including one last Monday, when Dion Dublin also scored after coming off the bench and earned himself a place in the starting lineup here today. In fact, the man that Dublin replaces effectively, the suspended Eric Cantona, is due here to work for French television. Philip Don, who has this honour of being selected for the World Cup. He'll have Roy Pearson, the World Cup linesman, on one line, and Bill Jordan on the other. And the scene is set for the second semi-final. The Wembley pitch has made a good recovery, Trevor, from 24 hours ago.
Well, there was some concern that it would cut up, and even down here in the south we had a bit of snow, about 2 or 3 inches overnight, but it looks in superb condition.
Well, it does. Let's hope there's a game to match. Manchester United kick off. And immediately it's Henry who challenges Mark Hughes, and there is a free kick. So Dublin will be a target for anything that's pumped forward from this sort of position today. He's being picked up by Richard Jobson at the moment, number 5 for Oldham. And here it is who heads it clear to 25. That's Rick Holden. Sharp. That's Graham Sharp, as opposed to Lee Sharp, who's playing on the other team. And here's a challenge by Bernard on Irwin. You can see from the way the paper is blowing across the pitch just how powerful the wind is out there. It's going to be a swirler, and it won't be good for goalkeepers.
think Dennis Irwin just misjudged that through ball initially, didn't he? So it will be difficult, and it'll take a few minutes, I'm sure, just to adjust to the speed and pace of the game anyway.
You were right about your formation, Trevor. Sharp has started on the right flank and Giggs on the left for Manchester United. Hughes and Dublin up the middle. And those early challenges by Henry just requiring a from referee Don. Henry and Milligan are a couple of scrappers really in the middle of the field. Forward towards Hughes. Foul by Hughes.
Craig Fleming is going to pick up Mark Hughes. Fleming been out for a while, came back on Easter Monday. Can play fullback, but very quick central defender. And that partnership alongside Jobson was when they started to pick up their league form, although Steve Redmond must feel very unlucky to miss out today with suspension.
Hughes. Giggs has made a run into the centre here for United, being challenged or followed by Makin. This is Pallister. And there are four men pushed well up here as Hughes gets chopped down. That was by Fleming. Gary Pallister is forward for the free kick. Chipped in by Bruce. It goes towards Pallister. Jobson is up. Irwin, a former Oldham player. Indeed, he played for them at Wembley in the League Cup final 4 years ago. Here's Bruce. Jobson, Henry, Milligan, Sharp. Oldham, a passing team. And here's Nick Henry, and Poynton, a great run from left back if he can find him. A fantastic run by the fullback. And there was an appeal, and they got into a mess back there, Schmeichel. It was Lee Sharp who had to follow Poynton back, and he bustled him a bit inside the area, but play goes on. It was a really good run by the Oldham number 3.
Neil Poynton, a very good attacking fullback. Lee Sharp there, just allowed him to get the wrong side, as you can see. He chests it down well, and there is contact a little bit in the back. Poynton goes down. The referee, I've seen them given.
That was McClare helping out in defence. It's been pumped forward by Lee Sharp, and now Fleming back to Hallworth, who has to kick. Not a bad volley actually by the keeper. This is Makin. Ince, Sharp's come across, cut out by Fleming. Now Hughes. Henry. Poynton. And now on this side of the pitch, Bernard was making a strong run across. It's an offside flag. Lee Sharp letting Pallister know where he is. But it's gone nearer to Hughes. That's Dublin. This is Ince. Now it'll be Lee Sharp. He's got 4 waiting for a cross. And they're still waiting. McClare. And he forces the first corner. Which Lee Sharp will take, and that will bring Gary Pallister forward for one. That's Steve Bruce also. Pallister normally goes into the near post position, Bruce further back. John Hallworth was confused by the presence of his own player there.
I think he might have called late, and Poynton actually ducked, and by then he thought Poynton was going to make the header, so quite relieved probably to get away with the second corner.
Sharp again. That's easier for Hallworth. He's keeping Gerrard out of the side, John Hallworth, at the moment. Quite a good contest for goalkeepers at Oldham. And he's come halfway out to pump that forward. It's a test for Paul Parker, this. On by Milligan. There's Bruce.
Not the easiest decisions, was it, for referee Philip Don, that early attack from Oldham, because it was a great ball through from Henry, and Philip Don, like everyone, was some 15-20 yards behind play, and it was only a slight contact by Sharp. Pointer did go down, but it's a very difficult one for him to have given, so I think he just decided to let things flow.
It was very early in the game, wasn't it? And that's a free kick to Oldham. This is Sharp. Henry. That's a free kick again to Oldham. Lee Sharp, the offender this time. And Oldham do love to push the four men right up. They're on the backs of the United defence now, and the floating ball is going to be deceptive in this wind. It seemed to slow up there as Holden chased through. Dublin wins the head. Giggs. Dublin. Irwin. Ince sees a run by Hughes here. And over comes Fleming, and that's a corner again. United's third already. Ryan Giggs will take this one. Steve Bruce had it taken away from him by Darren Beckford. Lee Sharp. Bruce stays forward. And it was Holden who got it away whilst on the ground, but the danger hasn't gone away. It's Pallister. Dublin. Ince.
Just over the crossbar, Paul Ince there. Just in the build-up, the slight problem without Kanchelskis, either Giggs or Sharp has to play down the right-hand side, and it was Sharp on that occasion. And he has to come back on his left hand to get the cross in, but there's a shot from Ince, never actually troubling Hallworth. But it's one of those areas, neither of them like to play down that right flank, and it's a case of who was going to start off, and Sharp at the moment is down the right.
Yes, it's the position that would have been occupied by Kanchelskis, isn't it, had he not been suspended for his sending off here when he handled the ball on the line 2 weeks ago in the Littlewoods Cup final. Bearing in mind Aston Villa got a penalty from which they settled the match. It seems to me a very harsh rule, that, but there you go. He's missed a cup semi-final as a result. Free kick to Oldham. Forward goes Jobson, and he needs to be watched a bit in the air. He got one magnificent header in which led to a goal on Monday. Number 5. Pallister heads it away.
There was an indication there of how Manchester United acknowledged Jobson's contribution, because they put Pallister on him when Dion Dublin ran back with him. They quickly swapped over, and I think Pallister is the one who picks up the best header of the ball on the opposition, and he was on Jobson.
I tell you what, Jobson beat 3 of them in the air with one jump when he knocked that ball back across the goal in the league game, and Sharp scored eventually. This is Makin, the right back, who's come into the side this season. Big day for him. This is Pallister. Well, it's a big day for all the Oldham team in particular. Hughes just got the other side of Fleming, who felt he was tugged. Now, is there an offside? No, the flag stayed down. And this is Bernard. He got in behind them.
Well, that's a risk. Somebody gave the shout, probably Steve Bruce, and the back four all charged up. Oldham did well, moved out with them. And Bernard made a long run from the right, and Irwin couldn't get across, but in fact, rather than perhaps knock it out to Holden, he tried a shot.
Yes, that's one thing Oldham have missed while Bernard's been out with the knee injury, Trevor. He does make some very good runs from this right-hand side, across the field as well as into the penalty area. And I think he threw them there by the sheer timing of the run. This is Graham Sharp. And now Beckford. Oh, it span off Steve Bruce. Irwin was covering. This is Ince. McClare's made a forward run. Giggs. Challenge was by Henry. Now McClare. Parker. Beckford. Bruce away from Bernard. Free kick to Manchester United. Planted forward towards Dion Dublin. That's his header, but he was shoving or climbing. I don't know if I'm making too much of this wind, Trevor, but it's like a gale up here.
Well, it has got up over the last couple of hours. I mean, certainly lunchtime when I arrived at Wembley wasn't so bad, but it's very noticeable how very strong gusts. It's varying all the time. It's not as if it's consistent, and that makes it very difficult, not only for the passing, but just generally as the ball's in flight, getting your position and adjusting your place to sort of control the ball even.
This is Pallister blocking out a ball intended for Beckford. Hughes on the floor. Dublin challenged by Henry. Free kick. Nick Henry's been pulled up 2 or 3 times for fouls, but the referee's performance will be closely monitored by Joe Royle in particular, who does feel that on 1 or 2 occasions between these two sides, Oldham haven't really had the rub of the green. Joe Royle, 45 a couple of days ago, and he's just agreed a new contract at Boundary Park. He's in his 12th year as the manager of Oldham, the longest-serving one-club manager. And he won't be sorry to see that ball run out, because it's Oldham's throw. And they're quite bubbly at the start, Oldham, the underdogs. Poynton takes it. Here's Graham Sharp. Poynton again. Goal kick.
Another run from Poynton there, and certainly his partnership with Holden has been very effective, hasn't it? Natural left-footers, whip crosses in, only need half a yard, don't have to go past people, and I'm sure Beckford and Sharp will be hoping to get on the end of 1 or 2.
Yes, that is Holden's speciality, of course, getting the ball in from any angle with his left foot. Here's Giggs. Oh, good job Fleming stopped that for Oldham. This is McClare. There's an offside, a player coming back. It was Lee Sharp, but Philip Don waves them on. There's no need to stop the game.
That was just the sort of run that Giggs got in for the first goal on Easter Monday, just coming inside the fullback Chris Makin, and that's the one he's got to be wary of.
Holden looking for Henry. Beckford and Sharp are waiting in the centre. There's the Holden cross. There's Sharp. And it was Ince who got it away. And there's got to be an offside. Dion Dublin is miles up the pitch. He'd gone up to challenge the goalkeeper, and
well, Mark Hughes is demonstrating with the Lions. It's the old argument that, you know, is that player? He was going to jog off the pitch. Dublin, is he interfering with play? But I mean, I think Mark Hughes was offside as well, so I don't think you can argue that one.
And it has changed the offside interpretation a bit, this business of goalkeepers kicking the ball out, because often forwards are up there to try and block the clearance. Pallister, Poynton, Bruce, Hughes. Oh, he's broken clear, and Sharp has too. And they've got Dion Dublin in the middle. Great chance for Manchester United here. Sharp crosses, defender in the way. There were two players, Ince and Dublin, waiting for it. Hughes finds Sharp again. Parker. And it's Ince! Oh, so close.
I thought that was in. A great diving header from Paul Ince. But just the comparison there, the two crosses. This one, look, on the right foot of Parker, whipped in first time, dives superbly just past the angle. The one before from Sharp, running clear, was on his right foot. Two people were running for the early cross. He had to turn, coming on his left foot, and the chance was lost.
Ince really has got himself into a lot more goal-scoring positions this season than he did last. And now here, Oldham on the attack. It's Holden with Graham Sharp coming up unmarked, number 14. Oh, Beckford was in the middle there in a very ominous position, and already the match starts to open up in the trend of games between these two sides. Rick Holden to take the corner, and Jobson will come to the back of the penalty area, trying to arrive late. Pallister knows exactly where he is. And in fact, Pallister won the header. This is Bernard. Touched off by Milligan. This is Henry. Now, Nick Henry still resents, with some justification, an incident in the replay when these met in the FA Cup 4 years ago at Main Road. When the score was 1-1, he had a shot from something like that distance. It hit the underside of the bar, and television pictures proved later the ball was over the line. It was a Jeff Hurst, if you like, and it wasn't given. And had it been given as a goal, which it should have been, Oldham would have been in the lead. And who knows what might have happened then. Anyway, this is Poynton. That was the year when Manchester United went on to beat Crystal Palace in the final, and it was Alex Ferguson's first major trophy. And they've won one every year since. This year, as I'm sure you know, they're still going for two, the League and Cup double. Jobson, or a poor header, Dublin. This is Irwin. Now it's Giggs. Good trickery. Little ball in, but it's too long. Offside, Graham Sharp. Linesman was flagging some time back there.
Offside, but Steve Bruce had the header, so I'm not sure how, because when the ball kicked he wasn't offside, so it hadn't come off Steve Bruce. Have to question that decision.
Nearly 20 minutes gone in the FA Cup semi-final. No score as Pallister plays the ball forward. Free kick to Oldham. It's Bruce who's been pulled up for the foul. Holden. Oh, referee's moved the ball. I was going to say Holden's having a good look at this, because curling them in from that side, he might be tempted to look for Beckford, Jobson or Sharp. All good headers of the ball. Dublin's header out. That's Makin. Bit of a stretch on the far side for Bruce.
Bruce Makin having a shot there, wasn't it? It nearly turned out to be a great through ball, and Steve Bruce using all his experience to hook it away before Sharp running in beyond him had the chance.
Here's Beckford. Now Bernard. Looks for Graham Sharp in the centre. Holden comes in behind him. Ince beats Henry. Giggs flicking it on to Hughes. Dublin is the player nearest to him. This is Sharp. And he's away from Poynton. Now, can he get it in this time with his right foot? And he has. Hughes is coming in. Ince. McClair to his left. Good reading of the game there by Milligan, the captain, number 10. And Beckford's now gone down the centre, leaving the wing free for Bernard here. Three the other way for Oldham. Manchester United funneling back. Beckford comes towards the near post. Sharp is beyond the far there.
Just a bit strong, wasn't it, Bernard's cross? But it just shows there how quickly Oldham can turn defence into attack. Manchester United have to track back in numbers. It's a very even contest up to now.
I would say it's dead even. And no sign about Oldham being overawed. Milligan actually was here anyway 4 years ago in the League Cup final. They lost to Nottingham Forest that year, you may remember. And it's a free kick to Oldham. Now they pushed 2, 4, 5 players right forward here. Offside against Oldham, but they do, as Alex Ferguson was saying after Monday's game, Oldham always try to press 4 men right up on Manchester United when they meet.
When they're in possession and taking set pieces, the two wide men, Bernard and Holden, join the two strikers, and then the two ferreters in midfield, Milligan and Henry, push up to pick up the pieces. And Neil Poynton, of course, is a very good attacking left-back, and he's using every opportunity today to get forward, despite having Lee up his side.
That was Irwin. Hughes not quite sure where the bounce was taking it. Pallister, Ince. Good challenge, Bernard. And Oldham have players in attack again here. One of them on the far side is Holden. Tackled by Hogger. Oh, well done, Rick Holden. He's got 3 to cross to. Chances here. Beckford's up. Bernard couldn't make it. Making. McClair is fouled.
Well, you can see the players' frustration there. The advantage rule was squandered. Manchester United were in possession. OK, it was a free kick, but you mustn't penalise the side that's got the ball in those situations.
I tell you what, it wasn't a bad opening for Oldham a minute ago, you know. I mean, he had 3 in the middle there.
It was a great touch by Dennis Irwin, who's not the tallest of Manchester United defenders, but he just got it off the head of Bernard.
And now he's in attack, Irwin, and it's come off Bernard to Dublin. And Irwin is still there, but he's offside. Good little player, Irwin. Oldham actually rescued him really one time in his career. He came on a free there from Leeds, then was transferred from Oldham to Manchester United, and I don't think there's been a more consistent player at Old Trafford for the last 2 seasons.
Probably those 2 matches against Man United in the semi-finals that clinched that transfer deal.
I think they did, Trevor. I think they did. He's also going to the World Cup, of course, with Ireland, isn't he? Here's Henry, Parker, Sharp. Well, it was 3 against 1 on McClair there. This is Poynton.
Peter Schmeichel looking for one of his long throws, a bit frustrated, and pointed to Ryan Giggs to pull out wide. He's drifted into the centre quite a lot today. Manchester United not quite using the width that they normally do.
A bit of a lull with 25 minutes gone and no score. Playing for the right to meet Chelsea in the Cup final on May the 14th. McClair for Manchester United looking for Sharp. Jobson saw the danger. Sharp. Ince. Away from Bernard. Here's Bernard now, though, got the ricochet. And now, a chance for Oldham to break right or left. This is Neil Poynton, and Beckford's made a splendid run through the middle. Number 17. It's come off Parker to Holden. Graham Sharp. Oh, he's put it wide. That was a really good chance made by Holden.
It was a great break, wasn't it, by Neil Poynton? I mean, he keeps cropping up in all areas. Beckford played it wide. Rick Holden, I have to say, I think this was a shot, dragged it right across goal, and Sharp looked so close. Schmeichel would have had no chance at all there. On his left foot, I'm sure he was shooting for the far corner. It completely mishits it, and normally Graham Sharp tucks those away.
Well, Schmeichel, as you say, was already on his way down. He wouldn't have saved it if it had gone inside the post. A let-off for Manchester United there, without a doubt. Fleming.
That one apiece now, isn't it? The Paul Ince one just past the angle, and then Graham Sharp's past the post.
Yes, Poynton has been prevalent in two of the best attacks. Henry. Johnson. Oh, good advantage by Philip Don. It wasn't necessary to stop the game because Manchester United had possession. This is Parker, and Hughes is onside. The ball didn't quite carry to his best advantage. It might. Well, Oldham looking for a flag.
Well, I don't think the first one was offside, but the second one, when Hughes went and played that through to Lee Sharp. Sharp looked 2 or 3 yards at least, but the linesman didn't put his flag up. There he is, as you see, just about to play it. Well, in fact, Giggs is more offside than Sharp, isn't he? But look, the flag isn't up. But fortunately, it wasn't controlled properly.
So, a bit of space for Giggs. But nothing between the two teams after 28 minutes of the first half. A bit of kidding going on there. I think the referee was right to say get on with it. This is Lee Sharp. Now Hughes. And it's Parker. Played their way through that. This is Pallister. And again, Parker is wide. Patient football, but the final pass to McClare is comfortably cut out by Poynton.
Pallister was involved in all the build-up there, just showing what a cultured defender he can be coming out of defence.
Yeah, I wish he'd do it more. He showed Blackman just what he can do, didn't he? There's Dublin, and this is Hughes now. Then there's a runner on. It's Giggs, if he can be seen, through the centre. He's had to move a bit now. This is Sharp. Giggs has switched positions again, and now he comes into the inside right channel, and the back pass just gets Oldham out of the wood. Play on, Beckford to his right, Graham Sharp offside.
Well, that was accidental handball, but it was handball, wasn't it? Great control by the palm. And it threw the United defence, but definitely Sharp was offside as he played it through.
There are so many things just nearly happening that you do feel that a goal can't be all that far away. It's quite unlike Oldham and Manchester United to go for half an hour without producing one on past records, but that's the situation. And Pallister plays it forward now towards Dublin. John Hallworth. Again, the four men pressed right up. Here's Bernard, and again the wind takes a little bit of a hand there. Here's Owen. Giggs. And that's fairly predictable. And I suppose if there's one thing that has made the difference to Manchester United's recent form, it's the fact that they've missed the variety of Cantona. But here's Dublin. And that looks good. It's going out to Lee Sharp. He's got Parker steaming up in support behind him, three waiting in the centre. This is Giggs, as Makin slipped. And somewhat fortuitously, Giggs gets a corner off Bernard. Oh, much too near the goalkeeper, wasn't it?
That was poor, wasn't it? And Ryan Giggs, after half an hour, yet to have that impact that you expect somebody of his ability to have. Hobbling a bit as on his way back as well.
I was going to ask you about that. Do you think he's got a knock there? Well, he has, there's no question. Yes, Giggs is limping.
There was no particular incident that I could pinpoint him getting a knock, but doesn't seem happy, does it?
There was a little tangle with Makin, wasn't there, when the defender fell over as the ball came across. I don't know whether that explains it. Here's Beckford. Now it's in by Bernard. Lee Sharp.
Giggs is struggling at the moment, and not only from this cup semi-final, but the league games to come. That could be an important injury, couldn't it?
This is Parker. McClare's in the centre. He heads it down, or rather across. Yes, it also makes the Manchester United choice of substitutes quite interesting today. Two midfield players, Brian Robson and Nicky Butt, the 19-year-old, are on the bench. Some feeling among people that Robson might have played, but in fact he's been having treatment for a back injury, and Alex Ferguson is off the bench, very concerned.
Well, it's one of those things you expect some players just to gradually run off and seem happier, but he's still hobbling. Of course, his game is all about pace and acceleration. Let's see how he makes out there. No, pulls up quicker. It seems a little bit easier, but still doesn't look happy.
Well, neither's he. This is Oldham with Parker, Ince with Henry, and Poynton with Sharp. It's all very tight. I can see that the two substitutes have been called back from their exercises towards the bench. Parker. And there was a foul, but United had the ball. It's Ince to Sharp. That's gone out. Well, Ferguson is looking across and Giggs is looking back. Giggs waved a hand as if to say OK, but it's a situation that they're going to have to monitor pretty carefully, I would think.
Important league games with Leeds and Wimbledon in the next week. Extremely, I think, important influence on perhaps where that league championship is going to go, how they come through those two away games. More important, though, as Alan and Jimmy were saying beforehand, psychologically, if they can win this semi-final, it puts them in much greater confidence going into those two games.
They have, of course, Kanchelskis and Keane back for those, don't they? It was just a one-match suspension as far as they were concerned, unlike Cantona. Here's Dublin, and there's Lee Sharp. Parker. Plenty in the middle for Sharp to aim at here, and he's got past his man. Sharp's... Oh, well, it's that old right foot again, the point you made very early in the game. Irwin. Ince. Pallister. And Hughes. He's trying to shake off Fleming.
He's a good marker for him. I've been impressed with him in other games I've seen him for Oldham. Very quick on the recovery, tight, tenacious. Good contest between he and Hughes.
Yes, there they are again. Hughes went down, he didn't get anything. Graham Sharp. They won't be very happy on the bench about that last attack, will they? I mean, he was in a great crossing position, Lee Sharp, wasn't he?
Well, it's not so much a criticism of Lee Sharp, because he is so left-footed that, you know, one of Giggs or Sharp has to play on that right-hand side. But, I mean, to get to the byline as he did, he had two options for a pullback, and then clear everyone was a bad waste.
36 minutes gone here, no score, it's Henry for Oldham. Well, the wind has dropped a bit, the sun is out. Well seen by Poynton. Here's Parker. Hughes, free kick.
I think he just lost control of that there, went down and somehow managed to get the free kick.
Steve Bruce has placed the ball. Dublin trotting around on the edge of the area as a possible target. It's gone in towards Hughes. This is going to come to Ince on the volley.
There's a great strike. You can see he was frustrated. Another 3 or 4 yards further out and dipped under the crossbar. You can see he's, well, 25 yards, hits it superbly, just dipped too late. Hallworth was there. But as you say, he has scored a lot more goals. I saw him before the game, and he even reminded me of actually got on the score sheet with a header as well. Of course, I'm sure Liverpool supporters won't need reminding of that important goal. Got them 3 points.
Now, if he'd been wearing that new boot of Craig Johnston's, he might have made that dip in, mightn't he, eh?
I thought you were going to say on top of his head when he got that header, but yeah, no, I mean, he hit the ball well there, didn't he?
It's an unusual shape. It can be used for many things, but here's Dublin for Manchester United. Forward by Ince, and that's meant for McClare. It's a bit of a corner to get out of, though. Giggs. And Giggs forces the corner off Makin.
He was moving much freer as he was trying to prize half a yard to get the cross in there. Nick Henry sticking very close to McClare's late runs from midfield. It's another good contest.
Yes, it's pretty even tactically, isn't it? We've now got Pallister coming in for the possible outswinger from a deeper position this time. Bruce is also there. And there's Pallister. Forward by Parker. Hughes. Bruce. Well, nobody flagged. Well, not a half that's thrown up too many memorable moments so far, I would have to say. Neither goalkeeper fully extended. And we have 5 minutes left of that half. 1 or 2 promising openings which have not developed because the crosses haven't been good enough largely. Anyway, here's Dublin in the centre, away by Jobson, and then a free kick against Hughes.
The wind hasn't helped the quality of the play, but and also there's been too many stoppages, haven't there? Little body checks and free kicks, which has disrupted the flow and meant it's very much a stop-start 40 minutes. I think it also indicates Oldham's improved defensive form this season. I mean, last year They just survived relegation. We kept talking about the number of goals in all their games at both ends, but they were conceding more than they were scoring. Whereas this season, Joe Royle, very happy to point out that defensively they have been much, much tighter.
Yes, they protected themselves a lot better. I mean, last season, some of the scores in their matches were quite extraordinary, weren't they? They actually survived in the Premiership by virtue of a 4-3 win on the last day of the season. Here's Pallister with Beckford, and Schmeichel's clearing. There was a game even this season at Christmas where Manchester United won 5-2 at Oldham. Poynton's header, here comes Ince. Referee has given a free kick for the challenge on Ince.
Looks a bit different, didn't he, from that clip we saw the the game a couple of years ago with that curly haircut, didn't he, when he first had it? It looks a bit shorter now.
Well, Giggs, do you think might get involved in this?
It's a long way out for a shot, isn't it?
Well, that was Giggs, and it bounced just in front of John Hallworth, but it was going away.
There's a few cries from Man United, but I mean, look, John Hallworth is well across. It's not got the pace to beat him. I mean, it was a yard wider.
Well, in keeping with semi-final tradition, this has been a tight, scrappy game so far. Most of them are, if truth be told. And Parker's pass didn't please Schmeichel. It's Graham Sharp trying to whack it back in. Poynton. Ince, Irwin. Now they have got 3 or 4 players here. If he can get the ball across the other side of the field. Dublin. Oldham have got people back now. Ince. Bruce. Now a Manchester United player has gone down. I think it's McClare. I think that happened in the centre circle as Sharp ran past him. And that will be one to look back at, I think. Brian McClare got a... I don't know whether he got a flailing arm in the face. But that's what happened. I have a feeling that Graham Sharp might have been the nearest player to him. Anyway, McClare is stunned. Jobson. Henry. A minute left in the half. Sharp to Parker, back to Lee Sharp. Ince. Lee Sharp goes again here. No, the referee won't buy that.
1-1 as far as collisions as well in the penalty area. That one he just tried to head on, and as he was in full flight, he's just ran straight into Poynton. There it is, and he just makes impact, but Poynton was coming back to cover. No penalty there.
This is Sharp. That's a better cross with the right foot. Dublin's up behind it. And Henry, oh, it's a bit risky. Dublin goes in on Hallworth, who does well, the goalkeeper. Not where you want the back pass to come, really. Forward by Bruce. Making. Didn't judge the bounce. It's Giggs. Didn't elude Jobson. Oh, it's a poor kick by John Hall, but again, Dublin's in offside position. Here's Giggs. He's back now. Oh, and Milligan and Giggs trying to shake each other off.
Well, I think Those little exchanges probably sum up the first 45 minutes, don't they? Nothing able to flow, very tetchy. And some of the football not all that we would have expected.
No, it's been a scrambling sort of match, hasn't it? Match of bits and pieces. And they've been playing a minute into stoppage time at the end of the first half, and Oldham are on the attack. That's Graham Sharp heading it on. Well, the whistle goes, but it goes for half-time, not for the foul by Fleming. We'll see if the Manchester United player gets up, because it's caused a bit of reaction in the crowd, and most of the players walking off the pitch. But Mark Hughes is it down there after a collision with Craig Fleming in literally the last incident of the half. It's Hughes who's down, but I think he's all right. Jim McGregor is attending to him, and Fleming is just checking with the referee, who walks off, having turned down two half-hearted penalty appeals. Hughes is okay. Not much more to get excited about, with a half-time score here at Wembley in the FA Cup semi-final of Manchester United 0. Yes, it is, and if you look at the way these two teams reached the semi-finals, perhaps that's not quite so surprising. Each has only conceded one goal in the FA Cup so far this season. And without this gentleman in the side, Manchester United's game is not as varied or as intuitive. Eric Cantona there working for French television. Suspended, of course, for 5 games as a result of his 2 sendings off. But we're now back in action. Manchester United in the second half playing left to right. And Mark Hughes with a header on. And Dion Dublin just cut out there by Fleming, but it made Hallworth backtrack a little bit to cope with the back pass. This is the 19th FA Cup semi-final for Manchester United in their history, only Oldham's 3rd. And Hallworth a busy man in the opening seconds of the second half. Now, is he offside? No, he's not. If that had gone through to Beckford, it would have been a run on goal. Milligan now to Holden. Inside him is Henry here, number 4. Back again to Holden. Graham Sharp and Beckford waiting in the centre. Comes off Parker. Then it's in by Poynton. The ball wasn't out. Beckford, not quite. This is Bernard.
No tactical changes. Interested to see whether Ryan Giggs did emerge for the second half. He is. He's down the left and Lee Sharp still on the right.
We did get a check on the Ryan Giggs injury. It was the left ankle that he got a knock on, but he's insisted he's all right, so there's no change there. And the wind gets up again at the beginning of the second half. In fact, there were an army of Wembley officials and maintenance men clearing the pitch during the time the players were off, because so much paper had blown across it. Dublin's header. This is Hughes. Now it's Ince. 2, 4, 6, 7 red shirts forward. This is Parker. Dublin will get his head to this, but only to take it out of range. And it's Makin to Graham Sharp. Henry starts a run down the inside right position. Across goes Steve Bruce. I'm really struggling to think of a time in that first 45 minutes when either goalkeeper was properly tested, Trevor.
No, well, both near misses. Sharp and Ince, they couldn't have got a touch to, so there was no great saves or any clear-cut openings other than that. And so it's very much waiting for perhaps the first mistake or the first bit of brilliance to open this game out.
That's a cross by Bernard. That certainly isn't it. It's gone behind the goal. indication of how strong the wind is. McClare. Now, onside, Darren Beckford. Two players out to his right, but by the time the ball came down, the chance had gone. This is Hughes. And he's had to come an awful long way back.
It's about the third or fourth occasion. It just shows how dry that wind has been, because normally a through ball at Wembley zips off the top a bit and goes on for the player to run onto. On each occasion that it looks as if they've got clear, it's sort of bounced and held up, and the chance is gone.
Yes, it was the first thing that really struck me at about 20 to 3 when we got up here, Trevor, that the wind was going to play a very strong and unfortunately negative part in the afternoon. I don't remember a semi-final in April where it's been blowing quite as hard as this. Mind you, as you said, we had snow this morning, so what can you expect with the English climate? Here's Ince. Forward by John Hallworth. That's come to Holden. Now Henry, and it's a good run by Neil Poynton again with Lee Sharp. And Poynton thinking again he may have been shoved aside. Well, Desmond's absolutely right. The crowd, at least, are rather more animated in this second half. The official figure has been passed to me, 56,399. Just a little under yesterday's crowd, but making the point again that they wouldn't have got into a league ground. Free kick to United. Those perhaps who, among our younger viewers, may not remember that in the old days, grounds like Hillsborough and Villa Park, and many others too, Tottenham, used to hold upwards of 60,000 people, and there was never a problem on semi-final day. They could get everybody in, or nearly everybody.
And then came the all-seater, of course.
Well, that's exactly right. It is the Taylor report, which we all applaud, which has been partly responsible for this situation. My only disappointment is that nobody earmarked two grounds and persuaded the Football Trust to upgrade them and have at least two places you could play a semi-final. Here's Henry. So much money has been spent on Stadia, you would have thought it would have been within the wit of man to do that. This is Poynton. Dummy by Graham Sharp. Dublin's touch. And it's a foul by Hughes on Fleming.
Well, 7 minutes, and we've probably had more free kicks in just the opening part of this second half than we had all of yesterday. The game did flow much more. But really, this did sum up. Hughes going in on a tackle. He was never going to make contact with the ball quite right, a free kick.
Poynton takes the kick. In comes Rick Holden in the crowd. Beckford's there too. Sharp! Saved and grabbed. Close. Schmeichel just hung on. One of the best efforts so far, and it's come from Graham Sharp here.
It was a great save, that full stretch. Just got his hand to it and then managed to retrieve it as it looked as if it was going to go to the second striker. Could have been in an offside position, Beckford, though.
Could have been. It might just release the stranglehold that the two defences have had so far. We'll wait and see. It's away by Bruce. Graham Sharp, a good old campaigner, 33 now, but Schmeichel foiled him there. Now Johnson has gone up onto the goal line because he knows Poynton can pick him out there. Dublin heads clear. That was Holden. Hits Milligan in the face, and Graham Sharp this time scuffs his shot. And Schmeichel goes for the long throw, and he's picked out Mark Hughes. Now Lee Sharp. Ince has made a great run through the centre. Can he see him? It's still Sharp. And there are three of them making runs now. This is Giggs. This is Better. This is Irwin. A bit hard. McClare. Ince. They're following in each time. Dublin. Oh no, they were coming out again. Little flurry of activity here in the 10th minute of the second half. And we really do need it. Offside.
I thought Dennis Irwin might chance his arm when he was moving in on his right foot, some 20 yards from goal. He decided to pass it, and when it was knocked in again, that man Richard Jobson continuing in his good work defensively.
Yes, he did. I agree with everything Alan Hansen said about Jobson. He's been absolutely outstanding. This is Graham Sharp. Henry. And here comes Schmeichel to meet the cross. Well, it feels a bit more like a semi-final now. Jobson, who was in the full England squad under Graham Taylor, played for the B team. Fine performer. Hughes, well controlled. Ince. Oh, he could have gone forward there. Parker. Ince to Hughes. Giggs is coming in for the header. McClare's closing in. Good long kick by the goalkeeper. Here comes Mike Milligan. That's a free kick. It's Johnson on Dublin. Dublin, McClare, offside, Hughes. Flags up. Nice to see the ball go in the net, but the flag was up way back here. Just you see there on the far side, the linesman.
No doubt about the offside. Oldham back forward, working well. Soon it was just half cleared, they moved up. Just got the yard or two, Hughes offside.
Well, ever the optimist, I just feel the game is getting a little more interesting now. This is McClare. Lee Sharp. And McClare. Well, the header by Jobson just stems the tide for a moment, but Manchester United have got plenty of players forward. Here's Dublin. Parker. Graham Sharp, Henry. No doubt the Chelsea players watching this match in the warm glow of winning yesterday, wondering who their opponents will be on the 14th of May. Chelsea in the cup final for the first time since 1970. Who is going to join them? Here's Bruce. Flick on by Dublin. Hughes trying to shake off Fleming. Oh, it's a good touch by Lee Sharp. This is Ince. Dublin's coming in, but it's too long for him and for Giggs.
That was unlucky, just half a yard further back. Sharp, a good little flick with his left foot on that occasion. Sent Ince clear. Did well, tried to get in the early cross towards the far post. Just put it too near the goalkeeper. It just eluded Giggs and Dublin.
Suggestion that Manchester United might be getting on top, Trevor?
Well, a little bit. I still think it's very even. I mean, midfield, Ince and McClare have had a great battle with Milligan and Henry. I remember mentioning that pair, Milligan and Henry, 4 years ago, was it, in that semi-final? Both matches they competed very well. Then Milligan went off to Everton, and it didn't quite work out for him. But those two together, they don't let the opposition settle at all.
No, they're terrier-like, aren't they? This is Parker. And from terriers to Great Danes, we've suddenly got Schmeichel making a mistake, and this is Graham Sharp. And it's crossed by Bernard, and Graham Sharp taken out by Bruce. And Oldham immediately in reply show that they're still right in the heart of the match, waiting for the corner, which will be taken by Holden. Neil Poynton's come forward this time to join Jobson and company. And Beckford arriving with Milligan. Beckford scored the winner at Bolton. He also scored a couple of other useful cup goals for Oldham in earlier rounds. I think it was Stoke and Derby he scored against. And Milligan, who hasn't scored for well over a year, but he's the captain. We've been playing for an hour in this FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. It's Oldham Athletic 0, Manchester United 0. And Giggs is coming in from the far side. Horworth to clear. This is Hughes. And Bernard on that right-hand side, just looking up, he's got 4 players running. One is Nick Henry there. Bruce comes around to ward him off. Now Lee Sharp. They've swapped wingers, Manchester United. Lee Sharp has gone to the left and Ryan Giggs has come to the right. I wonder if that's going to have any effect. Sharp will be on his more natural side, that's for certain. Pallister. Irwin. Only as far as Henry. Now Poynton. Pallister. They're snapping at the heels there in midfield every time. This is Milligan. Parker gets a chance to intercept. And comes forward. Finds Hughes, and McClare goes for the second ball.
McClare trying to run from deep because that partnership with Ince was extremely effective in their championship season, and he's the one who's sort of had to sit on the sidelines for quite a lot of this season with the arrival of Roy Keane.
Yes, I was just thinking the fact that Keane and Kanchelskis just missed this one game. Oldham's chance really is to win it today, isn't it? They would have Redmond back, of course, wouldn't they, for a replay, so maybe it's not that clear-cut. This is Jobson. Now it's Graham Sharp, Beckford to his left. Milligan tucked on by Bernard to Macon. That's a slice.
Chris Macon, of course, has played a lot of his games at left-back. He's more naturally left-footed, but with injuries that Oldham have got, they've had to sort of shuffle their pack a little bit as well, haven't they?
Well, they have, and they've missed Gunnar Halle, haven't they, the Norwegian World Cup player who thunders down that right-hand side. He's been a loss. Torre Pedersen, the other centre-back as well, is out for a long time. And with their resources, that means they're very stretched indeed. This is McClare with Henry. Graham Sharp. Ince. Giggs in the centre now. Got players to his right and to his left. It's still Giggs. And this is Parker. McClare's in there, and Sharp coming in at the back, Lee Sharp.
Paul Parker just getting forward once or twice now in this second half. That good early cross, didn't he, for the Ince one in the first half, and there again, probably slightly deep. Lee Sharp couldn't quite get him on the end of it on that left-hand side, but I'm sure he's feeling a bit happier already.
Well, Giggs has been allowed to wander a bit now. He's currently on the right wing. This is Bruce. And Hughes is just that little bit late each time at the moment. It's a frustrating time for him. Forward by Bruce. Now Giggs on point and full-back did ever so well. Holds a championship medal with Everton. Neil Poynton, experienced player. He's found Henry. Jobson. Giggs. Now, can he beat Jobson here? He's got Hughes in the middle. It's still Giggs. Oh, good effort.
Well, the switch looks a bit more effective, doesn't it? Even though Ryan Giggs is predominantly left forward, just that extra bit of pace that he seems to have takes him inside, just gets underneath it.
Yes, this was one of the best moments of the match, certainly in terms of individual skill. Rising over the crossbar. Parker with Holden. Block tackle, well won too by Brian McClare. The forward ball looking for Hughes, over comes Fleming. Hughes gets to him again, a shade late. This is McClare, Dublin. Over on the far side is Lee Sharp, and the attack again woefully breaks down.
So in those situations normally where Eric Cantona drifts into it, doesn't he? Picks up the deep ball and always makes the right selection, and it's that penetrating pass in the attacking third where United are definitely missing his influence.
Yes, when he went out the side, a lot of imagination went with him. There's no question about that. So it's a free kick to be taken by Pallister. 66 minutes gone. Ince is in there. Hughes is in there. Lee Sharp, Irwin, three waiting in the middle for a cross, four now. Hughes! Oh, and it ran away from McClare.
Not too impressed with the goal kick, I think, Mark Hughes, but that man was a wonderful cross. Look, whips it in. I thought Craig Fleming did well there just to disrupt Hughes and McClare. Quality cross there.
Do you think Hughes thought it hit Jobson's arm there? Was that what he was appealing for? I don't know. Excellent supply from Dennis Irwin. Well, the greater territorial advantage now is with Manchester United. There's no doubt about that. Alex Ferguson will want to see something on the end of it, though.
minutes as well. You just feel they're beginning to move up a gear.
Here's Ince. A reminder that if this doesn't change, this 0-0 score, we will have extra time today. Might have to put the Sunday tea back a bit there. It's Dion Dublin battling with Richard Jobson. And after all the history of high-scoring matches between the two clubs, what do you get on semi-final day? Oldham 0, Manchester United 0. Pallister. Fleming. The flag was up on the far side for an offside. Poynton will take this and there's Graham Sharp with Beckford. Cluster of players now clear. Oh, handball. Neil Poynton, not in the sort of part of the field where the referee need resort to a card, I would suggest, and he hasn't done. This is Ryan Giggs. Minutes of normal time remaining. This is Rick Holden. And Pallister, well, he thought about leaving it for Schmeichel, but I think he made the right decision. And again, Henry and Milligan snapping away there. Henry wants more, and Milligan. They don't let go. This is Holden. Now, is he going to get it in early? Yes, he has. Beckford's coming away to the far post. Bernard in a great position. Didn't direct the header to him. That was an opportunity if Beckford could have been a little more accurate with the knockback, Trevor.
Good deep cross by Holden on the run, and stayed in play. Beckford shaking his head. He knows. I think it was Graham Sharp that just pulled a bit deep. But he didn't quite head it down and pull it back far enough.
Makin. Corner. Chance for the Oldham flags at the left-hand end to wave in the breeze, or the gale. And Rick Holden goes across to take the corner. Standing on the in the near post area, Bernard, number 11. Sharp, number 14. Poynton goes in on the 6-yard line just behind them. Jobson to come in deep. Jobson. Now, what will Joe Royle be feeling at this moment, do you think, about the way the game's going?
Well, it's a tense time for both managers, in fact, but if he's thinking to himself, well, don't want to make a change at the moment. He's got Andy Ritchie, of course, who's an attacking player on the bench. Man United have two midfielders, Brian Robson, Nicky Butt, but both managers will be reluctant to change things while it's all square, but they both know also that, you know, as the minutes tick away, a goal to either side will probably be the winner, won't it?
Looked as if Brian Robson might be preparing for action from that shot a moment ago. Yes, 37 years of age. He's had a little bit of back trouble this week, I gather, but he was past fit. And a man who's already been up those steps 3 times in his career to receive the FA Cup itself now seems prepared to play a part in this semi-final. Lee Sharp, meantime, with Irwin overlapping. And it looks as though Dion Dublin, is it? Thought I saw the 20 held up there for a moment, Trevor. Yes.
Well, I think Man United supporters a little bit mystified by the substitution, because beyond Dublin. He hasn't had a lot of joy, and that's, I think, great credit to Richard Jobson, who's been so dominant. But Brian Robson, probably his experience, talking to the United players around him, and it's Brian McClare, I think he's mentioning, move up that little bit, but I don't think he'll play right up alongside Hughes as Dublin has been. I think he'll try and just drop half and half.
Right, here's Ince. Foul by Henry. So a free kick about 25 yards out from Manchester United. Brian Robson actually demanding the ball off Ince at the moment. It's almost central. Is it Irwin territory or is it Giggs territory?
I would say it's more Dennis Irwin. You know, it's sort of in the middle. I mean, both would fancy it. It just depends which side the wall is set up.
Yeah. It's Irwin. Oh yes, Hallworth read it well.
He hit it well. He's very good with free kicks. As you can see, he hits it over the wall. I think the keeper does extremely well to move so quickly across. Get both hands behind it.
Yeah, now just going back to your point about the reorganisation, McClare is the player who's playing a more forward role along with Hughes. Robson, having taken up the midfield position, wearing number 12.
What Oldham have done is switch Jobson to Hughes, the more physical attacker, and let Craig Fremlin, the quicker one, stay on McClare, who's going to move sort of and use the width, I think, more.
Ince to Hughes. Ince comes again, headed out by Poynton. Robson didn't make the best contact there, but he's typically won it back, and he's gone past Milligan and been fouled.
Not the sort of introduction to help the back trouble, is it?
Well, we're a quarter of an hour away from the possibility of extra time, and Steve Bruce is in a hurry. He wants that played in, and it is by Robson, but it's too long. He's offside. Oldham had held the line. In 1990, by the way, when they met in the semi-finals at Main Road, both matches went to extra time. 3-3 the first time. Here's Holden for Oldham. And 2-1 in the replay to Manchester United. This is forward by Parker, over the head of Hughes. Free kick, though, foul by Fleming. Robson's in space. Finds Giggs. And he's off past Poynton. Hughes in the middle, and Lee Sharp, and McClare. Still Giggs. Rolls it across, Brian Robson. Well, that would have been too much of a fairy story, surely, just to come on and score. But good set-up play by Giggs, wasn't it?
Well, I think the thing is about Neil Poynton, the left back of Everton, he's a very good attacking fullback, but perhaps, you know, doesn't sort of be the strongest of defensive players and pace-wise. And I think Alan Hansen was at half-time mentioning if Sharp knocked it by and just ran him, and that's what Giggs do. I mean, there was no dribbling skills or anything. It was just knock it into space 30 yards and get on the end of it, and he destroyed him with that and nearly set up that chance. Well, he did set up the chance, but not the best of finishes from Brian Robson.
Rick Holden. Sharp nearly made something of that. Graham Sharp, that is. Beckford is fouled by Pallister on the edge of the area. Free kick to Oldham. Absolutely dead central.
Well, this is in a dangerous situation. The best possible position for any free kick, and I think Rick Holden's left foot is the one that will want to try and capitalise on this.
Well, yes, he is in a good part of the field, isn't he, there? Just on the D. And Schmeichel having to have his wits about him here. Holden's left foot can be deadly. Philip Don pushing the wall back. Holden hits the wall. This is Makin. Wasn't a bad effort by the fullback either, was it? And the player who blocked the original shot is down injured.
Only 3 or 4 steps, wasn't it, from Holden? Good strike from Makin. Schmeichel always across that side. Brian McClare, no question where he got it, right on the face there. But an important block. Rick Holton doesn't seem that sympathetic, does he?
No, he caught him full in the face, and then McClare being brought round by Jim McGregor. And the score remains 0-0. We're now 12 minutes away from an extra period. I wouldn't think Alex Ferguson would want, ideally, extra time or a replay at this stage of the season, but he has to face that prospect. And the fans wouldn't have so far to travel for the second game. It would be at Main Road, Manchester. This is Ince. It's Giggs. It's still Giggs. He had a chance to play it to Robson and didn't take it. Instead he tried to find McClare. Graham Sharp. Parker. Giggs again. Ince. Foul. Henry. Referee Don allows him to take the free kick. And, well, Giggs went down. This time it wasn't given. Touchy down there now.
I don't know about now. I think it's been probably for the last 79 minutes. It's been that sort of game, hasn't there? A bit of edge to it. But still, I think very, very even. I mean, we're just waiting for the inkling of a chance, aren't we?
Well, we're waiting for something. It may arrive now. It's Giggs. And they've got three coming in the other way. 6 Oldham defenders back, though. Giggs to Robson. Now Ince. Robson wanted to play to the left. Giggs. Oh, no, it's going to break down. Robson said, why didn't it come to me? Here's Parker. Robson. McClare trying to tuck it into Giggs. Poynton saw the danger. Manchester United are being forced back now by Beckford.
Ryan Giggs had another great opportunity just to knock it down the line, didn't he? And run Neil Poynton, came back inside and enabled Oldham to regroup.
Ince gets it back from Giggs. Now McClare spreading wide. Hughes in the middle. Robson's arriving now.
And Robson trying to score one of the longest headers you would likely to see outside the penalty area, wasn't it? Never going to actually be able to beat John Horwath from there. It's the sort of game I would have thought if it does go to a replay, Andre Kanchelskis could play an important part down that right flank with his pace.
Forward by Makin. This is Sharp. And now it's Hughes, and this is McClare. For Beckford, the defender is Bruce. Corner.
See Bruce pointing and saying to Peter Schmeichel, did you think that was your ball? And decided to take no chances, and it's a corner.
Well, it certainly is, and Poynton and Jobson are both up for it. Holden to take it. Too much difficulty there for the goalkeeper. The throw out is straight to the feet of Ryan Giggs. He needs to shake off the defender, and he's going to have a right old go at it. It's Makin who's come across to mark him. In fact, this is still Giggs, and he goes cross-field. There are 3 up there to help him, and it's Giggs. Oh, he's overrun it, or did he? Was he fouled? Well, I wouldn't have given a free kick instantly there, but the referee's closer than me. Oldham aren't happy about it, and I thought Giggs might have overrun the ball, but there you go.
Another pulsating run, though. It's definitely made a significant difference since he switched to the right and has started running at that Oldham flank. In a dangerous position again. Wonder whether it'll be Giggs or Irwin.
Well, Irwin took the last one, didn't he? It's in about the same place. Looks like Irwin again. Referee's in the middle of the wall, trying to insert a bit of authority there and force it back. It's Giggs this time, and never looked like going in.
As you said earlier, I would have think probably one side enjoying the game, staying goalless. Blackburn Rovers.
Well, one of our leading bookmakers made it 11-5 against the draw in 90 minutes this morning. I think that was quite a generous price, really.
Are you saying because you took advantage of it, I believe?
Being neutral, of course, you never want to favour one side or the other, do you? And we have 6 minutes left.
It would really hurt you, I think, to describe a goal now in this last 6 minutes.
And I'm still dining out on the Grand National result, Trevor. On by Graham Sharp, and this is Robson. Well, I've never seen anybody take quite so long over a throw-in as that, but still, in the end, the ball did get back into play. This is McClare. Robson with his competitive nature in the middle of the field. Hughes outside him, Lee Sharp with making the defender. Plenty of players in the penalty area. This is Irwin. Ince has gone square here. Robson is square of him. It's still Ince, and he's overrun it now. Robson gets a foot in, wins it back for Manchester United. Pallister. Giggs. Oh. Good defending by Oldham. Pallister. Back by Lee Sharp. Robson. Away from... Oh! Driven into Hughes' face by Poynton. It's one way of clearing the ball, I suppose, pick up the rebound and get on with it. This is Irwin. And it's Bruce, that's a decent ball, but Parker couldn't control it. What happened there was that Hughes got the ball full in the face when Poynton launched a clearance from his own penalty area.
There's a ball played in by Brian Robson. It's one of those, normally you would hook it away with your right foot, but Neil Poynton, very much a left footer, tried to hit it with the outside and blasted it straight across the 18-yard box, and it hit Mark Hughes full in the face, and not surprisingly needed probably a smelling salt or two.
Well, Manchester United are due to play at Leeds in a league match on Wednesday. That would have to be postponed if this match was drawn after extra time. The FA Cup semi-final replay takes preference, but also mean Oldham's match against Tottenham being off, which is something of a relegation scrap now. There are 3 minutes left of normal time. Oldham on the attack. Up goes Graham Sharp. Poynton with the header. Do you give either side the advantage over the, 87 minutes, or do you think a draw is just about right?
I think it's just about right. There have been few clear-cut chances. I think in the second half, probably Manchester United had a bit more possession and one or two runs with Ryan Giggs, but not clear-cut openings, and it's very evenly balanced, and probably extra time required to split them up.
If then, this is Giggs. Hughes and McClare ploughing a furrow down the centre. Parker finds Robson. Ince. Hughes. Now Dennis Irwin from left back making a run ahead of Lee Sharp. There he is. Oldham player fell over and handled the ball. Bernard. and he's kicked it away in frustration. He was trying to delay the free kick then the second time. So it's a free kick to Manchester United. Bernard a bit unlucky in that situation, but Lee Sharp places the ball. The others all flock into the middle, a cluster of players there. Pallister is up, so is Bruce. Now Parker to knock it back in, or out.
I suppose if it does get through extra time and go to a replay, it will use up one of Eric Cantona's suspended games, wouldn't it? He would be able to play in one extra league match.
Yes, he would. He wouldn't be back for the semi-final replay, of course. I think he's serving match, what is it, match 3 today of a 5-game ban. Well, it's looking like extra time now, isn't it? Ryan Giggs. Robson. Lee Sharp. Robson again. Pallister. Swings it to the right. Well, it's going to be a goal kick.
Pallister at the back for United has defended well, hasn't he? Jobson for Oldham. Fullbacks Irwin and Parker have got forward whenever they can do, and there's a cancellation in midfield, isn't there? The competitive of Henry and Milligan against Ince and Robson at the moment from McClare earlier on.
Stoppage time at the end of the 90 minutes here in this FA Cup semi-final. Oldham Athletic 0, Manchester United 0. Giggs to Hughes. Free kick against Fleming. They'll need to get on with this a bit quickly now if it's not going to be extra time. Here's Giggs. And outside him is Lee Sharp. Oh dear. Well, I'm not quite sure whether he deserved that corner, but he got it. And there may just be time to take it. There won't be long. Irwin's gone across, Pallister's come forward, so has Bruce. Andy Linnigan got a goal in the cup final in the last minute from a corner, didn't he? Here's Irwin. But they're not going to get one like that. And we go into the 92nd minute. Giggs. And still, too much. Well, there we are. Mr. Don brings to a close the normal period, and not a goal to be seen between Oldham and Manchester United. Team talks now. Alex Ferguson onto the pitch, having already used one of his substitutes. His opposite number, Joe Royle, may wonder whether to bring on Andy Ritchie. Those are decisions that will be made in the next few minutes. Willie Donachie there with Joe Royle. But we face an extra half hour here at Wembley. The score after the first 90 minutes in this semi-final of the FA Cup for the right to meet Chelsea is Oldham Athletic 0, Manchester United 0. And while Trevor and I take a breather, let's rejoin Desmond.
Thank you, John. They don't play extra time in the Scottish Cup semi-finals for the first time of asking, and Rangers and Kilmarnock has ended 0-0. They'll replay next week. But yes, indeed, we have another half an hour here, so let's have some views from Alan Hansen and Jimmy Hill. Alan, the defenders have been well on top in this one.
Yeah, we said at half-time that Jobson had been magnificent. I thought Pallister was good for Manchester United as well. The defences have been in top. The game itself has been moderate. I think if anything's going to win the game, it's going to be a mistake rather than a touch of class or genius. It's been a bit niggly in the middle of the park. There's been a lot of fouls. It spoiled it. But there's still a lot of stake, and there's everything to play for the last half an hour. I think there'll be tired players out there. As I said before, I think a mistake will win the game.
Jimmy, we've seen some sort of mazy runs from Giggs, but they haven't been as incisive as they have been earlier this season.
No, his morale has been better in the second half, but still he runs the ball into opponents, into a crowded area, runs the ball close to his own players, and then gives them a short ball where they've got, you know, they just don't know where to go. But it just shows you, in a way, how much United have relied on Cantona. There's a point that Alan made at half-time, and you see it even more now, and Kanchelskis, players who you have that extra bit of flair, extra bit of vision, extra confidence and class to turn a game. And I'm afraid, you know, there are too many bread and butter, honest players. I mean, that's not being rude to them in the United side, and the balance is not weighted towards flair as it sometimes can be with those other players there. And I think it's showing up today. They haven't got many ideas, have they?
They're certainly not the team they were 4 months ago. But you mentioned Ryan Giggs. Once he went on the right-hand side of point and just hit it past and went for it. And if I was Manchester United, I'd be saying to Giggs, get wide, we'll get the ball out to you, and when you come against point, just hit it 20 yards past them and run after it, and you'll get a bit of success.
Yeah. I think they're missing Keane in a big way, Manchester United, Alan.
Yeah, they're missing to a certain extent where he's running from the middle of the park, but you've got to go back to Cantona. Cantona is the man they're missing, because he can give them something extra, a bit of class to unlock a defence, play a killer pass and play people in.
McClare has been making some of those runs very successfully, I mean, getting in the space, but there isn't the quality there to pick him out and find him. And really, Oldham have done exceptionally well. They're near the bottom of the league. They're facing the possibility of relegation. They've still got a chance to play in a cup final. Of course, they're still in there with a chance to play in a cup final.
Well, they're making the appropriate request.
And they're only playing Chelsea. It's not as if they're playing a very difficult team to beat, are they, Mr. Bates?
Come on now.
Only my little bit of fun with our neighbours.
Yeah. Your little bits of fun have got a little bit of sharpness.
With our neighbours, our good neighbours.
Yeah. Right,
yeah,
OK.
No, they've been good neighbours.
Let's go back to Trevor and John, see if we can get a goal in extra time. It's 0-0.
Well, we'll do our best, Des. You showed us that banner earlier saying Oldham was closed until Tuesday. If they don't get a goal in the next half hour, they'll have to close it till Thursday, because the replay will be Wednesday night at Manchester City's ground. But half an hour here to see if we can settle it at the first time of asking. Manchester United, as the teams turn round, now playing from the right. And a slight change, I think, in Oldham's formation, Trevor. I think Holden's come to the right and Bernard on the left.
Yes, I mean, Rick Holden, a natural crosser, naturally left-footed. He might have had a look to see that Giggs has had a bit more joy in the last half hour of 90 minutes and decided to get away from Paul Parker for a little while.
Yes, well, he can play fairly comfortably on either flank, Rick Holden. It was another option open to Joe Roar to do this. And he'll be up against Irwin now. Beckford gets a touch. Away by Bruce. McClare up against Jobson. And Manchester United now, Giggs on the right wing again, Sharp on the left. Hughes tugging away with Fleming. Referee thinks that's fair enough. Mark Hughes. Now, oh, the pass drove Brian McClare too wide, didn't it? His cross comes back in. Oh, they've missed it, Oldham. And this is Ince. It'll come out to Giggs. Too long for Lee Sharp.
That's a situation, I think, when Giggs received possession out wide on the right, rather than come back inside. If he could have just turned, Paul Parker was going to be overlapping, or, as Anna Hansen said, just have a go at Neil Point and knock the ball by him. I think he has got to hug that wide position. Manchester United giving the ball early so as he can run at the Everton, the fullback for Oldham. Because in his Everton days, he did like to get forward, as he had done in the first half of the match. But I think Giggs has gone over that side. It's curtailed his attacking runs, hasn't it? And he's had to be involved defensively. I'd certainly give it, if I was Brian Robson, out wide to Giggs.
There was a time in the season, I'm sure Oldham would admit, when Manchester United would have probably got the better of them with something to spare. But whichever way this match goes now, it's more of a battle of a semi-final than anything else. There's Holden. question of whether either side can dig anything out of this extra period. That was Milligan to Beckford. Henry. The face Ince got that, but he's the player who's been penalised. Forward it goes towards Graham Sharp, comes off Steve Bruce, Brian Robson volleys it clear. And Jobson, Irwin, Makin. Sharp just got a glance on that. Graham Sharp, that is. Here he is again. Pallister. McClare now got a good turn on that. This is Giggs. Hughes is in the middle. Giggs up against Poynton here.
Well, that was the occasion to go outside, wasn't it? Came back inside, tried to hit it on his left foot, but I think that's where Oldham wanted to come. There was ample opportunity to take it out wide and go at him and try and get across with his right foot.
Giggs. Well, Poynton will be called to the referee here, not so much for the challenge, which was a little untidy, but I think it was his reaction when he threw the ball down in disgust that upset Mr. Don. It was his foul on Giggs. The referee gave the free kick and Poynton showed some dissent, which is why I think he's got the yellow card. The first of the match.
And a player of his experience shouldn't be stupid enough to slam the ball down. You just know automatically he's going to get a yellow card, and that is a waste, and you don't want that when you're facing somebody with the pace of Giggs, where you could mistime a tackle and get a booking.
Hughes. Five minutes gone in the first period of extra time. John Horworth forward for Oldham. This is Graham Sharp. There's a little bit of tiredness creeping in now on both teams, and tempers are getting frayed. Paul Ince in the thick of that one, with Nick Henry, Brian Robson involved as well. And referee Don now has to impose himself on this game. And you can see the verbosity that's going on there as well. It's Ince and Beckford. Now then, Henry was the player in the original incident, number 4 for Oldham. He gets a yellow card. Paul Ince. Oh, I thought he was going to show him a red for a minute. Did he take the wrong card out by accident there, Trevor? It's yellow anyway.
I just think he was fluttering a few hearts there as to whether he'd pick up the red one. But look, the well, I suppose banter isn't right the quite word, but I mean, the verbal exchange is going on all the time. It was a reckless challenge there, of course, for Nick Henry. Paul Ince not appreciating it, and rather than leave it to the referee, decided to get involved himself, and they both ended up with a yellow card.
Well, he's ended up with more than that, Trevor, because that puts Ince over 20 points. It'll mean a one-match suspension, and I rather feel he's now out of the Manchester United-Manchester City derby match on the 25th of April. The suspensions normally are 2 weeks on, and that game is 2 weeks tomorrow. So, further disciplinary problems for Manchester United.
That is a fiery quartet at the moment. Robson, Milligan, Henry and Ince.
Yes, it is, isn't it? And the blood is boiling a little bit in midfield. That was Holden. That made Bruce stretch a bit. Now Parker, Robson and Milligan now tangling. Pallister. Irwin looks for Lee Sharp. That's Makin. Hasn't done a lot wrong. Beckford. Irwin. Hughes pulling away from his marker, but there's an offside flag up anyway. Frustrating sort of afternoon for forwards, isn't it, this? They've not been given very much space, that's true, but nobody has produced the one moment of inspiration or innovation, or indeed imagination, that might have just made all the difference in a very close encounter of a semi-final. Makin, offside. And as the tiredness takes its toll, one or two players slower in getting back now. Referee says the ball was moving when that free kick was taken. Wembley again bathed in sunshine. Hughes. Pallister. And again Pallister, not so accurate this time. Holden. Corner to Oldham. Jobson and Poynton make their way forward again. Much too long, really, from Rick Holden. I think you'd have to have been on the next pitch to make the most of that one. 10 minutes played in the first period of extra time. Anybody who's joined this afternoon's entertainment very late, there hasn't been too much excitement in the way of goal-scoring opportunities in this FA Cup semi-final. They've been very few and far between. It's a free kick given against Nick Henry, who's been roughing up Paul Ince a bit. Ince lost that in midfield. This is Darren Beckford, and trying to get it back. Oh, play on. Ince fouled him, but the referee thought the advantage was there. It was actually momentarily, but it didn't quite accrue. This is Hughes, and McClare is to his right. So on the far side is Giggs, and they've got three the other way. Manchester United now. Here's Ince. Irwin. Hughes! Save by John Hallworth. Magnificent. Mark Hughes' header. Irwin's cross. Hughes got power, and Hallworth was going the wrong way. He stuck out his right arm. Fine save. Corner to Manchester United. Hughes denied. And half away by Graham Sharp. Now, is that going to unlock the door, that moment? Here's Lee Sharp. It's Parker now. Giggs. Hughes again. McClare didn't drop for him. Oh, John Hallworth. Difficult for goalkeepers when they've not been in action very much, Trevor, but he certainly was right on his game there.
Well, great reaction save, wasn't it? Shows the quality. Look, Dennis Irwin with his left foot doesn't turn to get it on his stronger foot. Hughes gets up superbly, going the wrong way. Holworth, wonderful save.
Holden. Bernard. Bruce. Henry. Coming up towards the end of the first period of extra time here at Wembley, and still, despite Hughes' header, they can't produce a goal, or they were denied one there anyway by an exceptional piece of goalkeeping. He will look back on that save with some pride, John Holworth. Now it's Bruce, and there's Lee Sharp with Makin, and that may well be a corner. Oh, I must say I tend to agree with Lee Sharp there, but still. A minute in the first extra period to go. Makin, this is McClare, now it's Irwin. Mark Hughes down the middle, McClare closer to him. Oh, gracious me. I was waiting for you to make a comment. Actually, I didn't really want to make one.
Well, I didn't want to say anything after that, because, I mean, Dennis Irwin, I think, has had an excellent match, terrific season. And again, it was a good surging run, trying to cross it early. The idea was right, just couldn't carry it out.
So the referee brings the first period of extra time to a close. Poynton exhorts the Oldham fans for more support. The players will change around rather more quickly this time. There's no case of the manager coming on at this stage. Ince now with a booking behind him. And down there on the team benches now, Trevor, will they have settled for the replay, or do you think they'll be urging them on to try and win it here?
They probably would settle for the replay. They wouldn't say no to a goal for their side in the second half of extra time. I wonder whether Joe Royle might have introduced Andy Ritchie. You know, I just think they haven't looked threatening in that first period. A few tired legs. I'm just wondering, with that attacking option, I'm sure if Hughes had scored, Ritchie would have come straight on.
I'm sure he would, but the fact is that neither side has had a cutting edge, have they? And that's why we're where we are. This is Giggs, and where he is on the right. McClare and Hughes are in the centre now. Oh. Disappointing again from Giggs. Robson. Oof, shivering challenge by Robson on Bernard. Another one by Parker on Poynton. The tackling's a lot better than the passing at the moment. This is Bernard. Graham Sharp. Oh, played straight back to him by Ince. Bernard. And volleyed clear by Irwin, only as far as Makin here. Skips round the outside. 3 Oldham players in the centre if he can get across him. Not the best position for him, but he's up against 2, and he did ever so well to get a corner. Persistent play by Makin. Gives Oldham some... Oh, there's Ritchie. They heard you over there, Trevor, you know. And it's a corner first. Holden to take it. Poynton forward. And Schmeichel didn't get that. Poynton! And Oldham have scored! Neil Poynton got in there, and Schmeichel's made a bad mistake. And Joe Royle's team are in front. Andy Ritchie, go back and sit down, I think.
Yeah, he's putting his tracksuit on again because there's no way Joe Royle would change it. They hadn't looked dangerous, had they? And then this is whipped in. It's a good cross. Schmeichel comes, loses it, and Poynton hooks it in. Goalkeeping mistake. And now I think Oldham are going to try and sit back on that 1-0 lead, and it's up to Manchester United.
It looked a simple matter for the goalkeeper, but when it dropped, Neil Poynton smashed it in on the volley. And Oldham Athletic, the side who've never been to an FA Cup final, lead Manchester United 1-0. Giggs. Now then, 13 minutes away, Oldham, from the FA Cup final. Manchester United, whose trebles dreams disappeared here 2 weeks ago. Joe Royle's side have now put the double in jeopardy, Trevor.
He's probably leaning across on the bench saying, see, it was that threat of Andy Ritchie. The lads out there thought they'd better get a goal, and I mean, it was Schmeichel. Steve Bruce it was who challenged with him and possibly helped dislodge it. But whether Schmeichel called or not, I don't know. If you come there, you've got to get the cross. And perhaps now probably Alex Ferguson will have to introduce young Nicky Butt, won't he?
Yeah, it'll be Nicky Butt in a minute, but you've got to get those if you're going to come, as you say, as an international goalkeeper. He'll have to hold his hands up. And here's Nicky Butt, number 19. He is in fact 19. Youth team player last season. Scored twice for the reserves in midweek, which just got him in the squad today, really. He's a midfield player, Nicky Butt. Paul Parker is sacrificed, not for the first time. And Dennis Irwin will go to right back. Lee Sharp, I would think, to left back. And Butt will come on in midfield.
And Ryan Giggs was starting to wander over to the left-hand side, but I'd be surprised because I think he's definitely got the pace to beat Poynton, but he is going to go over to the left. And Nicky Butt's wandering towards the right flank. And I must say, Giggs has looked far more dangerous down the right against Poynton than he was against Making.
Well, Manchester United now have to score to keep the double dream alive, indeed, to have any chance of going to the final. Nicky Butt thrown on for his first FA Cup tie in almost a crisis situation for Manchester United. Irwin. Hughes is coming in from the far side. Giggs is there too. McClare. Overhead kick by McClare. And John Hallworth does perhaps what Schmeichel wished he'd done and gathers it cleanly. It'll be very important, that save that Hallworth made, won't it, early? Not this one so much, but the earlier one from Hughes as he catches this one, if Oldham go on to win this now. This is Darren Beckford. They've got to keep their heads now, Oldham. You often wonder when a team hasn't been quite so close to something as they are now, whether they can just get it together or keep it together. Here's Graham Sharp. He'll get a free kick. The linesman's flagging.
Old campaigner there, Graham Sharp, doing well, heading towards the corner flag. Quite happy to wait for the free kick. And a few seconds will tick away, I'm sure, before this free kick is taken.
Well, Joe Royle, after 12 years as manager of Oldham, he's done a fantastic job as it is, but if he wins this, well, Holden takes the kick. Oh, Graham Sharp! No.
It's gone in the side
netting. And a lot of people in the stadium, and myself momentarily, thought it might have gone in. What he is completely unmarked. Where were the defenders there?
Well, the discussion, I'm sure, would have gone on if it had ended in the back of the net, but as it is, Manchester United can breathe a sigh of relief. They are still only one goal down, but they should have been two.
It was Holden again whipping it in. The man who took the corner, he took that free kick as well. And suddenly here at Wembley, after an afternoon when there were lots of might-have-beens, but nothing had really happened to get you out your seat, suddenly we're sitting on a story. Oldham are 9 minutes away from the FA Cup final. Fleming is injured. And Hughes is in trouble for what happened earlier with Fleming. Yellow card for Mark Hughes. It could have been worse. It could have been worse. Hughes was involved in that challenge on Craig Fleming that left him injured, and he has been booked. And and he's a very angry man. Manchester United are clearly rattled, and the man who's made it that way is Neil Poynton, an unlikely hero, you might think, playing at left back. Not renowned as a great goal scorer, but sometimes in semi-finals it's the unlikely lads that do the damage. Bad clearance, but it's handball. Well, would you have believed this a few weeks ago when Manchester United were carrying all before them, when they were talking about the treble and Cantona was doing his tricks? Now under 8 minutes for Oldham to survive. And Darren Beckford shakes off Pallister. They might do more than survive. He's away from the other defender, who was Lee Sharp. Makin. And the Oldham fans, well, in all their history, they haven't been as close as this to the FA Cup final. They did lead briefly in the first semi-final 4 years ago, but very early in the first game. Now, they could be back here in 5 weeks' time. If they can hold on for 7.5 minutes, they will be back here to play Chelsea. Joe Royle pauses to let that ball drop past him.
Well, if Joe Royle was one down, I think he'd be tempted to throw a third attacker out, perhaps one of the central defenders. I'm wondering whether Alex Ferguson, it might be worth taking a chance with putting Pallister or Bruce up there to give them a little bit more aerial power, because of course Dean Dublin has gone off, and at the moment Jobson and Fleming are dealing quite comfortably with what's being thrown at them.
Well, I mean, Fleming and Jobson have been magnificent all afternoon. They've just got to keep it going from Oldham's point of view. But it's not over this. Lee Sharp to take the throw. It can never be over. Here's Brian Robson. While the spirit of Manchester United exists, it can never be over. And here comes Hallworth until the final whistle. But his save from that header by Hughes, I know I've referred back to it earlier, it will be seen, if this stays like it is, as a key moment in the whole afternoon. 6 minutes. Oldham Athletic 1, Manchester United 0. Henry, Poynton, the goal scorer. Beckford. Now they had a chance to move it on, Oldham. They've got to hold it up if they can, those forward players. Henry again. And Jobson with the volley. It'll be hard for Beckford and Graham Sharp, but they've really got to try and make themselves available to relieve the players behind them. Nicky Butt gets a touch. Poynton, a good challenge. Now Graham Sharp, Milligan, foul, Brian Robson. There are angry faces out there in red shirts. They're rattled. They've lost their grip on it. And look at those supporters from Oldham, just about 15 miles along the road from Manchester, M62 country. One of the famous old Lancashire towns. 5 minutes. They'll be whistling, they'll be looking at their watches, they'll be asking each other how long there is to go. You know how long there is from the screen there. It's under 5 minutes. Pumped forward by Schmeichel. Now Hughes, there was a foul on him. Jobson had his arms round him now. A chance for Manchester United to salvage it. A free kick 25 yards out. They've had 2 of these, haven't made anything of them so far. Dennis Irwin. Irwin drove it over.
Well, the minute's ticking away. It was a good strike again, but Hallworth looked just checking in case he whipped it over the wall, but he was always covering that one. It's going to be a huge test of character, isn't it, for Alex Ferguson and his side if the scoreline stays like this with those few remaining league matches now.
You just can't tell in the FA Cup, can you? I was just thinking about Bruce Rioch and Bolton there and how they virtually outplayed Oldham and lost 1-0, and now Oldham are leading against Manchester United. It's an FA Cup this season which has been so unpredictable. It may still be. McClare. Oh, it's a silly, poor mistake that by Makin, panicking. Ince. They've got to keep their heads, Oldham. Giggs. And Robson's waiting for this, and it comes off his head and it goes out for a goal kick. One of the young players there, Chris Makin, just failed to get the ball away earlier, but no harm was done. 3 minutes. Joe Royle, I can see over there, animated, taking his coat off as I speak. On by Sharp, and back by Pallister. Jobson jumps cleanly. Nicky Butt makes a forward run, number 19, Jobson again. Beckford needs to make a challenge here. Milligan. Now, what's Bernard going to do? Oh, wasn't too bad either. Bit of skill. And Beckford's gone down with cramp. That was always a danger for one of the front men. What with 2 minutes to go, and this is Giggs. And Makin is the defender. It's still Giggs, and Holden had to make that challenge, and he did it well. Rick Holden, a Yorkshireman who's played at places like Halifax. He later in his career played for Watford, a spell at Manchester City. A lot of Oldham players who've not been big names down the years are less than 2 minutes away from being very big names on the 14th of May. Just look at the excitement among their supporters there.
I think man of the match has to be Richard Jobson, doesn't he, at the back? His competition with Mark Hughes has been outstanding. He's won everything in the air. He and Fleming alongside him have been terrific, and Milligan and Hendry in midfield.
Every Manchester United player by Schmeichel has gone charging upfield. It's Butt. It's only a minute to go. It's come to Lee Sharp. Milligan has to get the head on this. Beckford is needed. He wasn't there. It's hooked back in for Hughes. It's there! They didn't get the ball away, Oldham. And Manchester United have saved it in the last minute. Extraordinary stuff. It wasn't cleared properly, and look at Mark Hughes, the volleying specialist, but he's never left it as late as that, and he rescues Manchester United with a brilliant strike round Fleming, and it's 1-1, Trevor.
Well, a quite magnificent volley. I mean, you know, look at that. He's at full stretch to control the volley. It was no more than a half chance. Fantastic character from United, but Hughes in particular, who's had such a physical battle, hasn't he? It was Fleming in the end who was left with him, but I don't think even he could anticipate that he could control a volley at full stretch like that. Gave Hallworth no chance, and a wonderful equaliser.
And here comes Ince. He's got Giggs outside him. Didn't play it when he should have done. Well, if the first 90 minutes was pretty dull, the extra time has more than made up for it. Manchester United, as I said, have a spirit about them which has many, many times enabled them to rise from difficult situations and still come out on top. And the Oldham fans silenced into submission when they were within a couple of minutes away from glory. You have to feel for them. But wait, here's Beckford. Really, it's the old story, isn't it? It's true in that semi-final Aston Villa-Tranmere in the Coca-Cola Cup, when Tranmere really should have had a ball away and panicked and let Villa score. And it's happened again here. I wouldn't take anything away from Mark Hughes, but Oldham know that ball should never have come back in. Joe Royle realises his team had only got to keep possession, but when they failed, Hughes with a rapier strike, very much his trademark, volleyed a memorable Wembley goal. to make it 1-1, and almost certainly means a replay at Main Road now. Great shot. The most relieved man in the stadium will be Peter Schmeichel, because it was his mistake that put Manchester United into that position, and Hughes has got them out of it. There it is. It's a replay. Joe Royle big enough to smile, but he must feel heartbroken inside. Hughes, the hero for Manchester United. It was a heroic sort of goal, but for Poynton, who would have been the hero, his name would have been splashed across every paper tomorrow morning after Schmeichel's error. If only Oldham could have held out for another 2 or 3 minutes. But that's cup football, and nothing has gone according to plan in the FA Cup this season. The two Lancashire rivals have finished level after extra time. A magnificent goal by Hughes forces the replay, and I just feel, whilst the Manchester United fans celebrate, a tiny bit sorry, Trevor, for the people from Oldham.
Well, it was there, wasn't it? They thought they'd have taken the second trophy away from Alex Ferguson, but a wonderful equaliser, and it's all going to start again at Main Road, and that, of course, is where that second replay took place, didn't it, 4 years ago?
Yes, it did, and Manchester United, of course, will have Kanchelskis and Keane back, but for the moment, the most relieved man here must be Alex Ferguson, and he's with Ray Stubbs.
Alex, sensational drama. You must have thought it was going away from you.
Well, I did, because I've not been having many breaks recently. Maybe that's the turning point for us. I thought of course, we deserved it. It was draw, there's no question about that. But when you're 1-0 to a minute to go, you just hope for a miracle, and Sparkies was just a miracle. It's a great result for us in the sense that we now can put the Leeds game away back now. It's away out the road now for a while, 2 or 3 weeks, and we can concentrate on Wednesday, and it's not a bad thing for us today.
Great spirit from both teams.
Yeah, well, it's always going to be a hard game.
Peter Schmeichel, the goal you conceded, did you get a good view of it?
No, I thought it was foul, but I don't know, I'd have to see it again. I'm not sure.